The first time the sky went quiet, I thought I had finally gone deaf from the city. No traffic roar, no distant horns, no helicopters, not even wind. Just a strange stillness that pressed against my ears like deep water. I was on the rooftop because sleep had been refusing me for weeks, because every night the same nightmare returned. A woman made of night, taller than towers, eyes like swallowed stars, walking through fire as if fire was only mist, and every time she reached the edge of my dream, she would stop and look straight at me, as if she remembered my name. That night, the nightmare came while I was awake. The skyline flickered, not like a power outage, but like reality itself was blinking. A thin white seam opened above the tallest buildings. Like a cut in the blue, light spilled out, not sunlight, not lightning. Something older, something that made my teeth ache. Then the seam widened and the air turned cold. So cold that the sweat on my neck felt like glass. I should have run. Everyone below should have screamed. But the city had gone silent, frozen under an invisible hand, and then she appeared. A towering figure stepping onto my rooftop like she had always owned it. Deep purple skin glowing softly. White lines tracing across her body like living constellations. Long hair streaming behind her, filled with stars and nebulae. A cosmic river spilling into the night of her own making. Her bare feet touched concrete, and the concrete sighed. She was so tall she made the skyline look like toys, 3 times my height, maybe more. Her pointed ears angled back, as if even she was listening for something that the universe had stopped saying. A bright white light burned at her forehead, and I felt it lock onto my eyes like a grip. I could not look away. I could not breathe. My knees threatened to fold, and my hands trembled as if my bones had become paper. This was the Void Queen, the same name whispered in leaked military reports, in hacked satellite footage, in the frantic prayers people posted right before their accounts went dead. The being the world's leaders had begged not to exist. The being. The galaxy apparently obeyed, and according to everything I had seen and read, she had been ordered to destroy Earth, so why was she here, on my rooftop, staring at me like I was the only real thing left? Her voice did not come from her mouth at first. It arrived inside my chest, like a second heartbeat speaking words. I am sorry. Those 3 words hit me harder than any scream. My throat tightened, and a laugh tried to escape. Not from humor, from shock and terror and disbelief. Sorry, I forced out, my voice sounding small against the airless sky. You came to destroy us, and you start with sorry. Her eyes shifted, and in them I saw storms folding into calm, galaxies collapsing into a single point. She lowered her head slightly, as if bowing could be possible for someone like her. I was told to end this world, she said, and I came to apologize to you first. My stomach dropped. Me, I whispered. I'm nobody. Her gaze sharpened, and the light at her forehead brightened. Do not lie to yourself, she said. Not tonight. Not now. My pulse hammered, and memory flashed like broken glass. A childhood, a hospital corridor, fluorescent lights. My mother crying into her sleeve. A strange dream at age 9. A woman made of stars reaching toward my bed. A mark on my wrist that doctors couldn't explain. A thin white line shaped like a crescent, glowing faintly when I was afraid. I had hidden it for years, convinced it meant nothing. Convinced I was just damaged in some ordinary human way. Now her eyes drifted to my wrist as if she had always known where to look. I covered it with my hand. Too late. Her voice softened, and that softness somehow felt more dangerous than thunder. You were the first human to speak to me without fear, she said, even though you did not know what you were speaking to. I swallowed hard. I never spoke to you, I said, and my voice cracked. I have never met you. Her hair drifted, stars sliding through it like fish beneath ice. You did, she replied, when you were small, when your world was still simple. When your pain was new. The rooftop seemed to tilt. The city below remained frozen. Cars stopped mid-turn. A bird hanging in the air like it had been pinned to the sky. I was alone with the universe's executioner, And she was talking about my childhood. Why? I asked. Why would you apologize to me? What did I do to you? Her eyes dimmed for a moment, and the white lines on her skin pulsed as if her body was translating grief into light. Because I already destroyed a world once, she said, and you were there. My blood turned to ice. That's impossible, I said, and my words came out too fast, desperate. I have never left Earth. I haven't even left my country. I'm just a man with bills and regrets. Her gaze did not move. You were not there in body, she said. You were there in signal, in resonance, in the one human frequency that reached me through the noise. My mouth went dry. What noise? I asked. What are you talking about? She raised one long hand, and the air in front of us bent. Not like a screen, not like holograms from movies, but like space itself was folding open to show what it had been hiding. A vision poured into my eyes, and I felt it as much as I saw it. A black planet. Oceans like oil, cities built in spirals, a civilization glowing with blue light across continents, and above it, fleets of enormous ships arranged like a crown. I heard a voice, metallic, cold, with authority that made my skin crawl. Bring the Queen of Void forward. I saw her, smaller than she is now, but still towering, standing in chains of light, surrounded by beings in armor that looked grown rather than built. They spoke a language my mind couldn't understand. Yet somehow my heart caught the meaning. Obey or be unmade. Destroy the planet, or your core will be shattered. The vision shook. I saw her face as she looked down at the world beneath her. And for the first time I understood that a being like her could be trapped, could be forced, could be made into a weapon. She lifted her hands, trembling, and she wept. Her tears turned into sparks that fell through space and vanished. Then she unleashed the void. It wasn't fire. It wasn't explosion. It was absence. A spreading circle of nothing that swallowed oceans, cities, lights, voices, history. The planet died without a scream, because the void took sound first. I lurched back, gagging, my stomach twisting. Stop, I choked. Stop. The vision snapped shut, and I was back on the rooftop with cold air biting my face. My knees buckled, and I caught myself on the parapet wall, fingers white with strain. I could not get the image out of my head. That planet, those people erased. My voice shook. You did that, I whispered. You killed them. Her eyes lowered, and the light at her forehead flickered like a wounded star. Yes, she said. And I have carried their silence inside me ever since. I stared at her, rage rising, fear tangled with it. And now you're here to do it again, I said, my voice breaking into something ugly. To erase us too. Her gaze snapped back to mine, and there was pain in it. Real pain, raw, not theatrical. I was ordered, she replied, but I am not here to obey blindly. Not anymore. I laughed again, sharp and bitter. Not anymore, I repeated. So what? You found a conscience on the way to Earth. Her voice lowered, and the rooftop seemed to darken around the edges. I found you, she said. My breath caught. I don't understand, I admitted, and it was the first honest thing I had said since. She arrived. She took a step closer, and the concrete groaned under the weight of her presence. The white patterns on her skin glowed brighter, tracing across her collarbone, down her arms, like rivers of light searching for a sea. When I destroyed that world, she said, something reached me in the moment after. A single pulse that did not die, a small, fragile signal that carried grief, but also mercy. Mercy, I echoed, confused. Yes, she said, because even after I ended everything, someone still wished I could be forgiven. My throat tightened. That's not me, I said, and yet a memory stirred. Small hands pressed together in a hospital bed. A boy whispering into the dark, please let the monster stop being a monster. I had prayed that once when I was 9, after watching news of a bombing, after hearing my father say the world was full of monsters. I had prayed without thinking, because a child believes even monsters might be tired. Her eyes softened as if she had heard that prayer echo across years. That prayer was not ordinary, she said. Your mind touched a frequency that my kind cannot ignore, the frequency of the witness. I shook my head, overwhelmed. What does that mean? I asked. It means you see the pain behind the weapon, she replied. And when you see it, you change the equation. My hands clenched. So you came to apologize because my childhood prayer reached you, I said. And that changes what exactly? The fleets are still coming, right? At the word fleets. The air vibrated. She looked past me, beyond the rooftop, into the cut in the sky that still hung open like a wound. They are already here, she said, hidden behind your sun's glare, watching, waiting for my signal. My heart slammed. They'll kill everyone, I said, my voice rising. My family, my friends, strangers, children, everyone. Her gaze returned to me, fierce now, burning. They will, she agreed. Unless I give them a different ending. A siren far below tried to start, then died mid-note, like even machines were afraid to make noise. I stepped closer to her without meaning to, pulled by panic and some strange trust that I hated myself for feeling. What do you want from me? I asked. Why come here first? Why not just stop them? Her shoulders lifted, then fell, as if carrying the universe had finally become heavy. Because I cannot stop them alone, she said. Not without becoming what they say I am. I blinked. I don't understand, I said again. If I unleash the full void, she explained, I can tear their fleets apart. I can erase their command core. I can silence their orders forever. My stomach twisted. But, I whispered, but the void does not discriminate, she said. It consumes what it touches. And Earth is too close to the battlefield. I felt sick. So your choices are destroy us, or destroy them and risk destroying us anyway. I said yes, she replied, and that is why I came to apologize. Because I have already done this once, and I will not pretend my hands are clean. A gust of wind finally arrived, rushing across the rooftop as if the world had remembered how to breathe. Her hair lifted, cosmic strands swirling, and I realized the sky around her was subtly darker, like she carried a shadow of space with her. I looked at her lighted forehead, at the way it aligned with my gaze, and a strange thought struck, sharp as a blade. You said I changed the equation, I said. How? She leaned closer, and her voice dropped into something almost intimate, almost human. You are the witness, she said. The one who can anchor a choice into reality, the one who can name an ending and make the universe hold to it. My mouth opened, then closed. That sounds like religion, I said. But my voice shook because it felt like truth, not faith. It is physics, she replied. Wrapped in a human word. I stared at my wrist, at the faint crescent line under my skin. It was glowing now, brighter than I had ever seen it. What is this? I asked. A bond, she said. Forged by accident, by compassion. By your prayer reaching me at the edge of annihilation. I stepped back, fear surging again. Are you saying you're connected to me? I demanded, like some kind of chain. Yes, she said, and that is why I came to apologize to you first. Because if I must choose violence, you will feel it too. My throat tightened, and anger flared, hot and helpless. You brought your guilt to my doorstep, I said. And you expect me to what? Forgive you. Her eyes did not flicker away. I do not expect forgiveness, she said. I came to give you truth before the sky burns. I came to ask you to help me save your world without becoming its destroyer. The words save your world landed like a weight. I thought of my mother's tired hands, my father's stubborn pride, my little niece who laughed at pigeons in the park. I thought of strangers I would never meet. Lives stacked like books in a library. The universe was about to set on fire. My voice came out small. How? I asked. She lifted her hand again, palm open, and the air shimmered. There is another way, she said. A third path they do not anticipate. Her forehead light intensified, and for a moment, the city below glowed in response. Streetlights flickering on without electricity, phone screens lighting in pockets. The world was listening. If you speak it, she said, if you name it with your full will, The witness bond will stabilize my void into a blade instead of a flood. A blade, I repeated. Yes, she said. A precise cut. A strike that severs command without consuming the innocent. My chest tightened with cautious hope. And you need me to do that? I asked. She nodded slowly. I need you to be the anchor. She said, because your kind created something rare, the ability to choose mercy even when afraid. I stared at her. At the immense power contained behind her calm. And if I refuse? I asked. Her voice lowered. And the air chilled again. Then the fleets will force my hand, she said. And your world will become another silence inside me. The threat was not in her tone. It was in reality itself. My hand shook. And I took a breath, then another, trying to pull courage from lungs that wanted only to collapse. Why Earth? I asked, buying time, needing understanding. Why are they doing this? Her eyes darkened. Because your species is becoming loud. She said, not in sound, in presence. Your signals are reaching farther. Your minds are waking, and they fear what you might become. The words hit me with a sick sense of recognition. Like they feared that other planet. I said yes, she replied. And that planet was destroyed because it refused to bow. My stomach turned. And you, I whispered. You were their weapon. I was, she said. And I still carry the leash inside my core. But tonight I want to break it. The cut in the sky flickered. And for the first time I heard something, a low hum, like a choir made of machines. Far above, pressing downward, the fleets were moving. My body reacted before my mind could. My knees bent, my hands gripping the parapet. She placed 2 fingers near my wrist, not touching, just close enough that heat and cold met between us. If you help me, she said, you will survive, but you will change. What kind of change? I asked, and my voice cracked. You will remember, she said. You will remember the world I destroyed. You will carry its names, its songs, the weight of what the universe loses when it chooses fear. Tears burned my eyes, and I hated them. Not because tears were weakness, but because tears meant I already believed her. I looked at the city, frozen and bright, and I realized something brutal. I had spent my whole life thinking I was ordinary, and now the universe was asking me to decide how Earth would die. Or if it would live. My lips trembled. I'm scared, I admitted. Her expression softened, and for the first time she looked less like a queen and more like someone exhausted by endless war. So she said, that confession broke something in me, because monsters do not say they are scared. Weapons do not apologize. I inhaled, shaky, and I raised my chin, forcing my eyes to meet hers. What do I have to do? I asked. Her forehead light brightened until it washed my face in white. When the fleets fire, she said, they will attempt to bind me, to force the void to open wide. In that moment, you must speak one sentence, simple, absolute, without doubt. My throat tightened. What sentence? I asked. She leaned close enough that I could see the fine shimmer of starlight in her hair. Say this, she whispered into my mind, with your whole soul. I choose the blade, not the flood. The words echoed inside me like a drum. I repeated them silently, testing them, feeling their weight. I choose the blade, not the flood. Above us, the hum deepened, and the scene in the sky widened. Shapes emerged, enormous and angular. Ships like black temples sliding out of light. A beam of pale energy lanced downward, not toward the city, but toward her forehead, toward the bright point of her power. She stiffened, and the white lines on her skin flared. Her hair whipped as if caught in a storm that did not touch me. The air tasted like metal. My wrist burned. The crescent mark blazing. She turned her head slightly. Eyes locked on mine, even as the beam pinned her like a spear. Now, she said, her voice strained but steady. Now I opened my mouth, but fear tried to choke the words. My mind flashed with images of failure, of the void swallowing everything, of my niece disappearing into silence. My lungs seized. Then I saw her face again, not as a queen, not as a destroyer, but as a prisoner begging to become something else. And something inside me snapped into place. Not confidence, not heroism, just decision. I shouted, voice tearing out. Of me from a place deeper than thought. I choose the blade, not the flood. The rooftop trembled. The city below flickered back into motion, not fully, but enough that a few distant lights pulsed, as if the world had heard me and answered. The beam binding her faltered. Her forehead light exploded outward, not in brightness but in clarity, like a lens snapping into focus, and the void opened, not as a wave, not as a growing circle of nothing, but as a thin, sharp line, a perfect darkness that cut upward through the sky like a scalpel. It sliced through the beam, severing it cleanly. It continued, rising, cutting between the ships, precise, merciful, terrifying. A command ship above us split in half without fire, without sound. Its systems erased like chalk wiped from a board. The hum shattered into discord. The fleets recoiled, their formations breaking, their authority collapsing into panic. I felt it. A rush of cold through my bones. A flood of alien grief. Voices that were not mine. Names that did not belong to Earth. The destroyed planet's memory poured into me like a tidal wave. I screamed, not from pain alone, but from understanding. I saw children on that lost world laughing. Under blue lights, I saw elders singing in spirals of glass. I saw lovers carving promises into living stone, and I saw them vanish. Tears spilled down my face, and my chest heaved. She caught me. One enormous hand cupped around my body without crushing me, shielding me from the collapse of the sky above. Her eyes were wide, and in them I saw the same horror and sorrow that was ripping through me. It worked, she said, breathless, disbelieving. It worked. Above us, the fleets began to retreat, not because they had become kind, but because their control had been severed, their command gone, their certainty shattered. But then another sound rose, deeper, heavier, like the universe clearing. Its throat, she stiffened. The white lines on her skin pulsed in warning. I forced myself to look up through blurred vision. Something larger was emerging behind the ships, a shadow behind shadows, a core structure, a throne of machinery, a living weapon that made the fleets look small. Her face tightened, and the light at her forehead flickered like a candle in wind. That is the Overseer, she said, the one who holds my leash. My stomach dropped. It's still here, I whispered. Yes, she said, and it will not run. The air grew heavier, pressing down on my shoulders. A voice rolled across the sky, not spoken, broadcast. Into reality. Witness detected. Bond confirmed. Authorization granted. I froze. Her grip around me tightened. Protective, furious. It knows you now, she said. And because it knows you, it will try to break you. The Overseer's presence filled the horizon. And I felt my thoughts begin to slip, like hands losing grip on a ledge. Images pushed into my mind. Promises, threats, visions of my family screaming. Visions of the city crumbling. Visions of me alone in darkness. A pressure built behind my eyes. She leaned close, her voice sharp, urgent. Listen to me, she said. Listen. I forced my focus back to her. Your sentence worked once, she said. But the Overseer will adapt. It will twist the bond. It will try to turn the blade back into a flood. My throat tightened. What do we do? I asked, voice shaking. Her eyes burned with determination, and for the first time her apology felt like a beginning instead of an ending. We fight for a fourth path, she said, not just to save Earth, but to end this system that makes worlds disposable. A new tremor ran through the sky, and the Overseer's shadow deepened. The city below began to wake fully now, unaware of the cosmic machinery above, unaware that their fate was being argued on a rooftop. Sirens started again, faint but real. People would look up soon. People would scream soon. I swallowed hard, wiping tears from my cheeks with shaking fingers. I'm not a soldier, I whispered. She met my eyes, and her voice softened just enough to keep me standing. Neither was I when they first chained me, she said. The Overseer's voice surged again. Stronger, colder. Bond will be reclaimed. Queen will comply. Earth will be erased. The words hit my spine like ice. She lifted her head toward the sky, shoulders squaring, cosmic hair streaming behind her like a banner. Then she looked down at me. And for a heartbeat, the universe felt small enough to fit between two breaths. "I came to apologize," she said, "because I did not want my last words to you to be silence." I shook my head, tears rising again. "Don't talk like this is the end," I said, and my voice cracked with stubbornness I did not know I had. Her lips parted slightly, a hint of something almost like a smile. "Almost like hope. Then give me your next sentence, witness," she said. "Give me the words that will make the universe behave." The pressure in my skull intensified, and the overseer's shadow crawled closer. I stared at the city, at the lives below, at the fragile lights. I felt the lost planet's memory beating inside me like a second heart. I took a breath, forcing air into lungs that wanted to fail, and I realized the truth that terrified me most. If my compassion could reach a monster once, then my courage could reach a weapon now. I looked at her, at the Void Queen who had come to apologize, and I understood that the next part of this story would not be about her destroying Earth. It would be about us deciding what kind of power deserved to exist. My mouth opened, forming the beginning of a new sentence, and above us the overseer leaned, in eager to twist it, eager to break it, eager to turn mercy into catastrophe. The sky roared with silent thunder. Her forehead light blazed, my wrist burned, the rooftop shook, and I spoke the first word, loud enough to shake fear itself: nitrogen monoxide.